Welcome to episode 12 of the Linux Gaming News Punch, your weekly look at a few minutes of interesting topics that have happened in the last week or so for the Linux gaming nerd. First up, we have a bit of an update about Easy Anti-Cheat, because last week when we spoke about this, somebody, Mr. Gary Newman, had said that Easy Anti-Cheat were pausing their Linux support, which got a lot of people up in arms. However, Easy Anti-Cheat are not pausing Linux support. Epic Games actually replied to my email about this to say that Gary's comments reflect day-to-day prioritization decisions between anti-cheat issues across all platforms we support. These ongoing trade-offs in priorities don't mean there is any change in the long-term development of our Linux anti-cheat, and we remain committed to providing the support necessary for Linux as a gaming platform. Blimey, that statement was a bit of a mouthful, so it sounds like something anyone could have guessed, really. Linux is a low priority, but what's new there? One other point about Easy Anti-Cheat I just want to make is that they replied to somebody on Twitter where they said Wine compatibility is currently in a beta state with several games whose help we appreciate, but significantly more work is needed to get it to a suitably stable and hardened level for all. A translation of that is basically that Easy Anti-Cheat are working on Wine as in Steam Play compatibility. That would be pretty huge, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Keeping up with a bit of a theme here for anti-cheat news, the team behind BattlEye, which protects games like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, have said that they're working with Valve to get BattlEye working within Steam Play. Now, their statement was short and sweet. It wasn't ambiguous in any way. It basically said, currently we do not officially support Wine, but we are working with Valve to add support for Proton in brackets Steam Play on Steam. There's no messing around. There's no guessing games being played there. It's just a nice, clear statement. And to be honest, this would be absolutely huge. It would help some of the most popular multiplayer games work on Linux with Steam Play. It's also worth noting, because people keep getting confused on this, BattlEye do already support Linux with native titles. So who knows, give it another year, we might be playing some of the most popular multiplayer titles as they come out on Linux. The whole idea of that just blows my mind. Another exciting project that's maturing very quickly is D9VK, which has just had its first release. Now, don't be confused with DXVK, which it's actually built upon. D9VK is for getting DirectX 9 to run through Vulkan when used with Wine. Still with me? It's basically another compatibility layer, and it's already making some Windows games run on Linux with much better performance than standard Wine. And if it does get merged with DXVK itself, it could be seriously good for things like Steam Play. It's another one to keep an eye on. Right, okay, yeah, we keep doing this. This is actually supposed to be mostly about games. So here's some actual gaming news. Nightdive Studios' recent release of Blood Fresh Supply, which is something that takes the first-person shooter Blood from 1997, puts it into Nightdive's newer game engine, spins it around a bit, adds some new features and so on. They basically said it will be coming to Linux, air quote, soon. Blood Fresh Supply brings in things like Vulkan support, anti-aliasing, ambient occlusion, high-resolution support, better modding, rewritten netcode support for up to 8 players and so on. They've basically taken an old game and given it a fresh coat of blood. Another first-person shooter I'm going to talk about again is Counter-Strike Global Offensive Danger Zone. It's the Battle Royale mode for CSGO that's absolutely stolen my heart right now. In the last week, I think I've put 21 hours in it, something crazy like that. Valve are continuing to update it. They're adding in new perks that you can pick when you drop into the map. Honestly, I love this system. I think it's brilliant. I love the slow and steady improvements that they're making to it. If you've never played a Battle Royale game, I can highly recommend it because it's free, it's good fun, it actually supports Linux from Valve. And the way they've tweaked Counter-Strike to work in a Battle Royale setting is really, really interesting, especially with the tablet that acts as both your radar and your shop. It's so clever. I think a lot of people wrote it off off in the early days as just another Battle Royale clone, but it's not. Valve did something way different to what everyone else is doing, so I think it is worth looking at. Next up, we have Descenders. It's a downhill extreme sports game, so you ride a bike really, really fast downhill, fly off a ramp, do some flips, stick your legs out to the sides and throw your arms up in the air, and then crash into a tree. Well, that's what I mostly do in it. Anyway, it's recently left early access and it now has multiplayer, so you can fumble around on a bike and do some tricks with other people. This one's actually really quite good. There's not a lot actually like this on Linux. In fact, there's not a lot actually like this outside of Linux either. I mean, there is a few, but not all of them are very good, and I think Descenders is very good. It looks good, it performs well, there's quite a few different tricks that you can do, there are loads of different maps, it has some random generation, there's like a level up system so you can customize your rider and your bike. It's got loads going for it. So do check out Descenders if you're a bit of a madhead and you like your adrenaline rush. Going to end this week to briefly mention that the Long Dark has a recent update called Steadfast Ranger. This is the survival game that's quite different to other survival games, as not only does it have your usual sort of sandbox survival mode, it also has an episode-based story campaign, which is actually quite surprisingly good now. It's been through a number of overhauls. This most recent update upgraded the Unity game engine, and the experience I found on Linux has been vastly improved. Previously, they had all sorts of graphical issues with NVIDIA GPUs. They're completely gone. They've done loads of optimizations. They've fixed up numerous user interface issues, and I think it's a survival game worth looking at. Not that I survive in it very long, mind you. I usually get chased by a pack of wolves and just get eaten. But it's great fun, and I like doing it. So if you're after a survival game, even if you're not usually interested in survival games, The Long Dark is one to look at. And that's all for this week. Thankfully, this week was quite a positive one, wasn't it? We've got a lot of games coming out. 2 different anti-cheat vendors are supporting Linux, and they're both looking at Steam Play. It's all pretty amazing, really. So thank you for joining me on this wild ride once again. This is the Linux Gaming News Punch. My name is Liam, and if you want to find me and all the latest Linux gaming news, check out gamingonlinux.com. Thank you, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye for now.